New revelations, coupled with virtually universal recognition of his long-standing cognitive troubles, now call into question the validity of hundreds of Biden executive orders, commutations, pardons, and even signatures on legislation. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV, and here's the story. PJ Media and the Heritage Foundation's Oversight project reported March 6th that virtually every document signed by Biden upon entering office was the result of autopen and not his own hand. Of course, this could inspire an itemization of Biden's own personal history whoppers that have been proven utterly inauthentic, and it grants another opportunity to recall that his entire plastic political life is analogous to these machine-made scrawls supposedly showing his approval. But these new allegations are particularly alarming. Matt Margolis notes, quote, "A shocking investigation by the Heritage Foundation's Oversight project has revealed that virtually every document bearing Joe Biden's signature during his presidency was signed by an autopen, except for one. What makes this revelation particularly damning is that the only document confirmed to have Biden's actual signature was his letter announcing his withdrawal from the 2024 presidential race. Let that sink in for a moment." End quote. Margolis also notes, quote, "Remember when House Speaker Mike Johnson, Republican of Louisiana, revealed his discussion with Biden when Biden couldn't recall signing the executive order halting LNG exports?" End quote.
First, real quickly, Mr. President, can I ask you a question? I cannot answer this from my constituents in Louisiana. Sir, why did you pause LNG exports to Europe? Like, I don't understand, liquefied natural gas is in great demand by our allies. Why would you do that? Because you understand, we just talked about Ukraine. You understand you're fueling Vladimir Putin's war machine because they got to get their gas from him, And he looks at me, stunned with this, and he said, I didn't do that. And I said, Mr. President, yes, you did. It was an executive order, 3 weeks ago. It occurred to me, Barry, he was not lying to me. He genuinely did not know what he had signed.
Yes, we remember, and we reported at MRC-TV that Johnson unethically kept quiet about it for nearly a year. We indicted him for withholding that information, and we reported that Johnson also didn't protest the unconstitutional power grabs many of those executive orders represented. Not good, all the way around. Given this pair of problems, the auto signature and the cognitive trouble, Margolis expresses the question that might be on many people's minds. Yeah, given the probability that Biden didn't sign any of those orders that Johnson discussed with him, or any of them at all, well, who did? How do American civilians assess the validity of the executive orders, the commutations, the pardons, or even the legislation, including budgets, that Biden didn't really sign? Well, Chaya Raichik, known as Libs of TikTok on X, also spread the news and added a sign of the larger legal dimensions of the problem, writing March 5th, quote, "Breaking, Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey asked the DOJ to investigate whether Biden's cognitive mental decline allowed unelected officials to make decisions without his knowledge or approval. If that's the case, Biden's executive orders, pardons, and other actions may be unconstitutional and void." End quote. She attached screenshots of Bailey's letter to the DOJ, and it makes for powerful reading. Perhaps more alarming, however, Bailey's logic-driven statement tells us, quote, "There are profound reasons to suspect that Biden's staff and political allies exploited his mental decline to issue purported presidential orders without his knowing approval." End quote. Indeed, the questions are widespread and pertain not just to Biden in the executive branch. John Levine reports for the New York Post that numerous members of Congress have begun to express alarm about the mental facility of their tax-eating colleagues. Writing a piece that cites members and notes the fears of anonymous figures, he observes, quote, "Up to a dozen members of Congress reportedly have mental faculties so diminished they can no longer do their jobs. with some even showing up drunk or stoned to cast votes." End quote. Of course, both the evident lack of real authority in many Biden actions and the reports of congressional cognitive collapse, well, they're not the only mockeries of us, the civilians who are tasked to endure this circus. And they're not the only slights and acts of contempt directed against the system under which the U.S. government is supposed to function. A broader understanding of the misused U.S. system tells us that even if Biden's signatures on legislation or on the hundreds of executive orders he issued in his final weeks, even if they were to be judged authentic as far as his signature is concerned, the constitutional authority of them would be laughable. Be it his restrictions on energy exploration and recovery, his attacks on the Second Amendment, his LNG export ban, that would be the executive order that was the subject of Johnson's January 2024 conversation with Biden, about which Biden had forgotten or didn't know, and about which Johnson said nothing for nearly a year. Be it any of those or Biden's signature on virtually every piece of legislation passed by Congress, the constitutionality of the federal actions is, more often than not, highly suspect. As a result, these revelations about Biden and the rumored mental declines of Congress members, well, they come as additional problems that likely won't be addressed or rectified from within. The only way to hold these people in line or to pull them back from their excursions into unwarranted governmental claims of authority over us is to remember that no government truly has any authority over anyone. At least the Constitution offers some purported barriers to their tyranny. But of course, given the lack of honor and mental stability among some people in Washington, it's up to us to cite them for their wrongs. And it's up to us to try to change the environment. Change it to one that's less onerous and more conducive to our freedom. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please like and subscribe, and of course, follow us on Rumble, where they don't censor us. We're still on YouTube, where they are censorious, and double check that you're subscribed there. And of course, find us all the time at MRC-TV.org. That's MRC-TV.org to see what the whole team is doing. Consider contributing to the Media Research Center and check out what's in the store. You can find us all the time on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and on X. And if you want to find me on Gab, I'm at Gardner Goldsmith on Gab, and you can find me on X as at Gard Goldsmith. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.